Going live on there.
Where are you going live from?
Okay, we're live on that's
YouTube?
yeah, YouTube. And then this is Facebook. Ready?
Yep.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm here with Candace Hudson, our president of Treatment Reform and Reentry, and today we have a very special topic: pro reform and our responses to our governor in the state of Ohio. Go ahead, Candace.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think as now you got that one clear, knocked out. I think that everybody kind of read and saw this week the governor's idea of parole reform, and we are unhappy, very unhappy about it, actually.
I'm sure the governor's aware of it already.
I think
and
we called
if
him out
not,
a few
he
times.
will be once the our story comes out on ABC. You know,
Jerome Smith said, "Good afternoon."
Who?
Good afternoon, Jerome Smith.
Oh, Jerome. Do I know him? I don't think so. But I don't know everybody here. We're just waiting for Candace to get organized. As you know, I'm usually very organized because I just sit here and look pretty.
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything. That's why.
But I get my own coffee.
Well, he's trying to be funny.
That's Brian Landa, my friend from Parma Heights.
I saw
went to school with
Smize.
him. That's a kid I
Hey,
grew up with.
Bobby Joe.
Hey, Bobby Joe. You're going to be back on the clock soon. Okay.
Your turn.
Okay. Well, as you know, the governor came out with his idea on parole reform, which we're not supporting because it's the whole regime over and over again. They tried this 8 or 9 years ago with Governor Kasich's idea of parole reform, but when they keep picking professional people instead of ordinary people to sit on the parole board, you're not going to get any change. So what they did is the governor appointed a prosecutor.
It's time.
We have an inmate calling, so we're going to put him on the air, in a minute. But the governor appointed a prosecutor, as I said, a president of council out of Vermilion.
Good evening.
And a former state rep who stepped down. And if you remember Shirley Smith, who was a senator at the time who stepped down, that is only problems for our folks that have to see the parole board. I would like to see them pick ordinary men and women.
Stop talking, and I'm gonna put you on speakerphone.
That work at factories and stuff. And I'm gonna be quiet now because Candace has a special guest today.
Okay.
That she's gonna put on the air. It's on.
I got him. Yeah. Hold on. I'm about to put you on speaker. So
they won't be able to hear it.
I don't know if they'll be able to hear you.
You gotta hold the phone up this way more.
Yeah, that's that call too.
They just called?
Yeah.
Well, we'll schedule it another time when you'll be able to do it. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Maybe we could share his story a little bit so people can get better understanding on what happened to this.
Tylis is actually a friend of my husband. They got locked up together as juveniles. Not same case or anything like that, but he's one of the ones that has the support of that wasn't Dwayne, that was Tylis. He actually has the support of his victim's family, the daughter and the grandmother, I believe it is. And I have been in contact with the victim's daughter, and she has told us that she went to speak to the parole board in support of him. And once they found out that she was actually in support of him, they treated her completely different. Like she, had done something wrong or she was doing something wrong. But she just had expressed to me that, enough is enough. He was a juvenile. People make mistakes. She doesn't have hate in her heart and she wants to see him released. And I believe he got flopped 4 more years. So, her family is actually in the process of fighting to try to get him released with uh, the help of us. She's writing letters, I think. What did he tell you? She was going to write a letter or something.
Right.
Um,
But
and
this is this is a case that we don't see very often, where the victim that's actually pushing for a person's release, and she's going to be working with us, somewhat. So it's kind of encouraging.
yeah, so she hopefully she will be at our protest next Friday because she wants to speak out and just share her story about how they were treated and the steps that she's had to take. She has requested to go in and see him. I forget
Yeah,
what that's
I don't think the
called.
protest is next Friday because we have a
Well, not this Friday, but the
yeah,
next
yeah,
Friday.
because we have a community meeting
Yeah.
first. But getting to the governor's response, and Candace read it as well. You know, it, we understand that the victims should have rights, but if you look at all the laws that was passed, they have a lot of rights, and our people have no rights. And the governor's just putting more rights in this, such as if the victim's family dies, the prosecutor can speak on their behalf to refuse a release of the inmate. The prosecutor shouldn't even be allowed at the parole hearing. They had their case in court,
Mm-hmm.
and they presented their case in court. When the judge sentences a person to 10 to life, they're supposed to be released at their first hearing if their conduct um, proves that they deserve it, such as good behavior programming, stuff like that, and they're not going by any of that. At least the parole board that's in existence today.
Well, the victim is able to tell their story and they're able to have their rights, and we don't disagree with that at all. However, they should be able to tell their story one time. And if they want to say, they're for or against it, because anybody can be for or against a parole hearing, that's what they should do. They shouldn't be able to tell their story every time and then have their story get a little worse each time they tell it. So, that just goes back to the original case as well. They had their time to tell their story in court. So that's the issue that we have. Not that they, or at least I have. I don't know if you agree, but that's just how I feel about it as well.
Right. But needless to say, that's why we're going to go forward with our bill, because our bill would be fair for all people that's involved. It won't just release people, but it'll give them a fair hearing. And that's all we ask, is that they receive a fair hearing. The mentally ill to be placed in a hospital setting, and those that's been down 30, 40, some 50 years, they should be home with their families.
Desiree Stone, where can we find the new laws online?
Um,
Usually, if you Google it, whatever state you're in,
OhioSenate.com, or
she's not in
yeah,
Ohio.
oh, she's not. Um, um, any state, I think you would Google the state senate in that state, and then look on the bills that's presented.
Hey, Heather.
Um, some of the bills that they're doing now is not really in favor of our people. The only person that's really done anything to actually help out, believe it or not, was Trump with that second. I forget what it was called, Second Chance Act or
Yeah.
something. And we're following in his footsteps on our proposals somewhat.
In my loved one's case, both the prosecutor and the judge are deceased. I believe that any prosecutor can go in, right?
Yeah, like in Cuyahoga County, in the Cleveland area, they have a lady that does most of the hearings for the parole board. They have her on Skype, and if the inmate has a defense attorney, one speaks, then the other speaks, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah,
So
so a lot of these reforms that's their idea of reform is really not reform.
now it's going back to the Stone Ages on some of it. It's, I'm really surprised they don't just start executing them. That they basically have given them a death sentence when they keep them in,
Yeah.
as long as they have. Some of the folks in Ohio is getting elderly, and you talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars on some of them just for medical, and you're talking about probably 70 million if you consider all the medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sorry if I'm squinting at the screen.
she's got bad vision.
No, the sun is like right in my face and I can't see. Desiree said thank you. She's a cutie.
Is there any non-cuties here besides my friend Brian Lander? Because he's not part of the cuties.
Jerry Vaughn's on too.
Who's that?
Jerry Vaughn. He's on your page.
Oh, hi, Jerry. I know who he is now. Real nice guy. He made a donation not too long ago.
Brian wants to know, can they Skype the inmates?
No, they cannot. We have asked for them to film the pro hearings, but now what the governor's talking about is live streaming the full board hearings, which I am totally opposed to. Um, the public does not need to hear. The family members of the inmate need to be protected for one. They're not the ones sentenced in prison. We just want the pro hearings itself that's between the inmate and the 7 pro board members that don't show up half the time videoed.
The reason why we're asking for it to be videotaped, and we weren't asking for live streaming or any of that. We were asking for it to be videotaped for a specific reason, and that is because they were having other people's cases mixed in, and these people weren't getting a fair hearing, and there's no way to appeal it. So if the board members have somebody else's file in front of them, how's that person getting a fair hearing? And you can't, like it happened with my husband, but we couldn't appeal it because there was no new evidence in his case. So
but technically, you really can't appeal it. The pro board says no, but you can actually appeal it. There's no laws that
you
says
can file a grievance.
Grievance, which is basically appeal.
You can't appeal. You can file a grievance, but that.
Some of the most evil pro board members are still aboard, such as Mark Houck. Very racist comments coming out of his mouth. Cynthia Mauser, I don't even know if she still works there, but she's one that needs to be definitely terminated. And we brought that up to the governor's attention already. Any of the stuff that he's trying to present right now and work with legislators is not going to benefit our folks.
Mm-hmm.
They need, like I said, they need to pick ordinary men and women to sit on the pro board. A factory worker, a trash man, a person that works in Kroger's, maybe, instead of people with all these degrees, who really don't care. All they care about is making the $100,000 paycheck a year. It comes to $47 an hour, and some change, by the way. I looked into that the other day. What they make, the chair makes $60 an hour.
Well, I can tell you, because I worked in a financial institute that did loans, and there were a lot of the ODRC workers that came in, and them state, they have to the T. Like this person worked for us for 24 years, 7 months, 19 days, and 63 hours and 2 seconds. on their paycheck stuff.
And that's where your tax-paying money is going to.
Mm-hmm.
The psychologist for the DRC makes more than the director. He makes $250,000 a year. What's a she now?
You should see what the inspector make.
Well, I'm sure the inspector's way up there too for sitting on their butt and just stamping it denied, denied, denied. They're very good at that. They don't really check out their facts because it's too much like work.
Brian said, when you have power over someone's life, that's how life is. Yep.
That's true, Brian. And it's kind of sad when people like to play God, judge, and jury after they were already sentenced.
But like my husband says, it's just a business and they're just a product in that business.
That's
Nobody
true.
cares. And even when I told him about what the governor was doing, he wasn't surprised. Like he really didn't say too much about it at all. He just said, like this has been like this for years. This is nothing new.
But he did say something like, "Oh, you're getting the governor mad now," or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he encourages me to do whatever we need to do to fight
Right.
back. Obviously,
Right.
he is 100% behind us in doing that. But
Right. And our commitment's not to the governor, not that we aren't willing to work with him for change, and our commitment's not to the DRC. It's to the inmate population, so that they're treated fair. I mean, if Martin Luther King was alive today, he would be fighting with us because this is the type of cause that he was so against. It wasn't just color or race; it was discrimination of any kind.
mm-hmm.
I had a couple of his quotes that I was going to say, but I forgot what both of them were, and I know them by heart.
Yeah, well, I can tell.
So.
Desiree said so. Every 3 days he spends, he gets 1 day off. She's in California.
Yeah, some states are. Florida just took back a bill that they introduced on an inmate would serve 65% of their sentence, then get released. They decided not to pass that bill, and that would have helped our Florida folks out.
This umbrella doesn't bend to the side.
No, no.
I'm gonna need you to get a new one.
I know. I need the group to pay for it then. Oh, they're like $250.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. But um, but there's a lot of work to do, and if we would get everybody that supports us and everybody that has a loved one locked up, not just in Ohio but nationwide, laws would change, and it'd be a national issue, which it is.
It is a national.
I mean, every
issue.
state that has a pro board, I think there's only like 5 states that don't, but they're running into the same problem as we are. Some of the other states have gotten a copy of our proposal and trying to work on getting it introduced in their state as well. Nebraska's one. That's really messed up. She's taking notes.
Well, Leanne, I don't want to butcher her name. She said, "Hi guys, how was the donation box?"
Oh,
Are you talking about the jewelry?
yeah, I think so. Which one said it?
Her name's Leanne.
Yes.
Kirsch.
Thank you so much. And I'll let Candace go through it afterwards. Those rings were awesome. And everything you sent was awesome.
Yeah, I just saw pictures of it. I haven't got to look at it yet. Even when someone does get out, they're still behind the 8 ball. It's true.
It's true because of discrimination, by society in general. People are afraid of the unknown until something happens in their family.
So, like James was saying, people have to show up. You have to make your voice heard. You have to make your loved one's voice heard. We've got a lot of stuff that's coming up within this month.
Within the next couple of weeks, matter of fact.
The 11th, which is Saturday, We will be having our community meeting at 1 p.m. at the Crossroads World Outreach Ministries. You can find all of these events, all of our events and stuff on our website at fairtreatmentreformandreentry.org. I have completely revamped the website, and so it's a little bit easier for you to find things. So all of our events are going to be on there. So again, May 11th, the community meeting at 1 p.m. at Crossroads World Outreach Ministries here in Columbus. That it's on 165 South Cypress Avenue. And then next Friday, May 17th, is going to be our big protest here in Columbus, 11 a.m. nationwide protest at the State House on the corner of
South High and State Street, between the Rife Center and the State House.
Yeah, so we'll be facing the building where the governor is.
Yeah, he's on what, the 10th floor, I think, 10th or 11th. No, 16th.
I forget. They have
16th floor.
Didn't they say they have like a ton of floors?
Yeah.
And then May 18th, we will be having our fundraiser yard sale for the German Village Valuables, I think it's what it's called.
We just had to figure out how we're going to have it there.
Debbie Gibney says we are coming to town end of this month. We'll check the calendar of events.
And if you're here around the 17th, Debbie, I still got some signs with your son's name on it.
Anything the last weekend of this month. We do not have anything. It'd be the weekend before that.
But we would like to go out for coffee with you at Tim Hortons.
Then June 15th will be, well, our community meetings are also for our letter writing campaign. And this is very, very, very vital right now to let the governor as well as the judicial committee know that we are not in favor of his idea of parole reform. We have to get everybody on board to let them know that this is not reform.
It's going backwards, actually.
Yeah, so June 15th will be another community meeting here in Columbus at 2 o'clock at the Church for All People. We would be doing our letter writing campaign. My daughter and grandson are saying hi.
Oh, hi.
Giovanni. She would be at our protest, except for my youngest grandson is graduating that day. So I'm sacrificing seeing my little man graduate from kindergarten.
Is there going to be food?
Brian said Jim will buy. I doubt it.
Buy what? Coffee? That I could afford. So when Debbie Gibney comes and Brett, I'll buy you coffee that day at Tim Hortons.
James can afford the ice cubes in your ice water.
And then it depends if they charge for tax.
Oh. And then wonders why he doesn't get a date. So July 13th will be the Columbus Clippers night out, and that is at 7 p.m. $10 tickets. So get your tickets now. We got great seats, box seats.
And we can email you the form for your tickets. We have to fill up 50 seats. I dropped it from 100 to 50 the other day, but we need 50 people to order tickets, and they will recognize us on the scoreboard that day.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good time. I've been there. There's lots of stuff for kids to do. It's just a fun atmosphere, and we can all sit and talk and network, get to know each other, just kind of have fun outside of what we do on a daily basis. And then our big conference is going to be August 3rd at 11 a.m. at the Whitehall United Methodist Church in Whitehall.
And the topic this year is Voices of Reform supporting parole reform.
Yeah. We've got some interesting people that are coming to talk, as well as workshops that will be going on. I believe we've got 2 former inmates, 2 or 3?
2. David Ward will be there, a friend of mine that was at Marion, and Frank Minkus, who actually Senator Cecil Thomas went to bat to help him get out. And the parole board was extremely rude to his legislative aide at the parole hearing.
Yeah.
So,
so they will be speaking. We will also have the public defender's office there doing a workshop on wrongful conviction, as well as they will have a table for expungement. And I will keep expressing this until the day it happens. Get there early if you're there for the expungement, because last year we had a ton of people come for that reason, and they had to close up when it was time to go. So,
and also this year we're not getting a grant for the conference since we're outside of Columbus. We need sponsors and we need financial assistance, and you could do that through our website, www.fair-treatment-reform-and-reentry.org, or one of our fundraisers that is on Facebook. I have one that's going to that goes for another week or so.
Yeah, we'll be doing a separate fundraiser just for our conference, which we'll probably run it. I don't know how long you can run them for.
You can run them for as long as you want. You just change the date on it.
So we'll probably be running that for the next couple of months just for our conference.
We would have to stop it about 6 weeks ahead of time. That we get the money in time.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I didn't think about that.
Last year we got a $500 grant from the city, but we spent close to $1,000 altogether. Maybe not quite that, but it was not too far from it.
Yeah, so there will be food there. Not anything fancy, but there will be food there to purchase. Vendor tables. Like I said, a few workshops. I'll be doing a workshop on advocating for your incarcerated loved one. We will also have the victim, actually a daughter of a victim. She is going to come and speak on her experience when she went to speak at the parole board in favor of her father's offender. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how she was treated after they found out she was in support. So I'm really interested for that, as well as the wrongful conviction by the public defender's office, which also here is something exciting that we have going on that we've been putting together since we've been getting so much response from our questionnaires, and we've been putting them online just so people can read what's really been going on, letting these men and women have their voice. On our website, we now have a tab for wrongful conviction stories. There's nothing in there yet. I just literally designed it last night, but their stories will be put in there. Hopefully, if we have any pro bono attorneys that would like to help these men and women. We also have a prisoner's blog now on our website. There's nothing in there yet either, because like I said, I just designed it last night and got everything, the JPay and everything set up for that. But what will them expressing themselves in a lot, they already do write things, poems, short stories, prison stories. I mean, they can write anything that they want, recipes, just anything, and submit it to us, and it'll go through our a separate JPay from our company. And please recognize A&L Crafting of Minnesota as the donating entity and the sales or auction. Let me write that down. Hey, Yvette.
And also, one of the speakers we forgot to mention for our conference is our main speaker, Beverly Seymour. She's coming up from Michigan. She's the author of our Pro Reform Act bill. And she'll be coming and talking about that and answering questions. So it's really going to be exciting and a time to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, check out our website at fairtreatmentreformandreentry.org. We will be putting a bunch of stuff up there. We've totally revamped it. If you would like to donate, you can donate there in our donate section. If you would like to have, if your loved one would like to submit something for the prisoner blog or a wrongful conviction story, we will be putting our email out for that, which is ftrr.prisonerblog@gmail.com, and they can submit their stuff through JPay there. Leanne said they have a Facebook as well for A&L Crafting. So I think that's pretty much it on the conference. Or no?
Did you mention the vendor tables?
Yeah, the vendor tables. If you do want a vendor table, the vendor tables are $20. So if you have a product that you would like to sell, the tables are $20. Which that will give us money to go towards the sponsorship. And anyone who does send in a monetary donation, we will put you on our advertising literature.
We'd love to put 100 people on there.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing the work, Candace is.
And we have sent out sponsorship letters for people to sponsor the conference. And that's usually the first thing they ask is if we will advertise for them.
Right. And we need close to $1,000 for this conference. So if we can have people step up and help us with this conference, we appreciate it.
Uh-huh. So does anybody have any questions for us? Yvette said, is there something like this in Washington State? My baby needs some kind of help. You really want to reach out to any of the prison wives groups that you're in, Yvette, and see if they have or are affiliated with any advocate groups there, and just network with them and find out, or maybe Google it and see what you can come up with. I don't know of any, not in Washington.
I would contact Washington Cure, and I forget the president's name there, but I met him at the national conference a couple years back, and see if they could recommend point you in the right direction. I don't know much about Washington.
All I know is they get conjugal visits.
Handcuffs.
And we don't. Can we work on that bill next?
I think any woman that goes on a visit should be handcuffed before they get in there so that they behave themselves. I'm working on that bill right now.
Whatever.
Oh.
Hater.
Not a hater. I'm protecting the men. We're not a piece of meat.
Dwayne says that to me now all the time. Ever since I told him you said that. He's like, stop. I'm not a piece of meat. Shut up.
Yeah.
So yes, our next big thing, besides the community meeting, is our protest. We have to show up.
We need hundreds.
We
not
have
10.
to show up to show that we have support, that people aren't going to back down. Let your voice be heard. Let your loved one's voice be heard. Like I've posted over and over again, if being scared doesn't change, it's not going to make a change for anything. You can't sit and be quiet. You can't sit and say you want help for your loved one, and you're not willing to stand up and fight for that.
And you can't expect everybody else to do the work. We're literally getting burned out. It's nonstop from morning to nighttime, 7 days a week. And if we want change, we don't expect you to work that as much as we are. But if you could devote an hour or 2 hours a week, that will really help the cause.
Yeah. These lawmakers, the lawmakers work for us. We vote them into office. You got to stop voting people who don't believe that these men and women can change.
And let's also mention that, and this is for our Washington friend there, every state, we're asking them to join us on the 17th of May at 11 a.m. at their local state house or a central location in their state. And let's stand together, share live videos, bring each other on videos, and let's stand united, not divided. And we need every state. This is a national protest, not just a state protest.
Right. It's a national protest. Leanne said, is FTRR hoping to go nationwide eventually? Eventually, but that probably will happen not right now.
I would say maybe the next year or a little bit longer. We have several states. Kentucky has asked us. Virginia has asked us. Florida has asked us. And of course, we would have to come up with some guidelines so that our name is not destroyed and people follow rules. And it doesn't necessarily have to be parole if your state doesn't have parole, but there's going to be guidelines that would have to be followed.
Right.
And then I'll be retired hopefully by then.
Me too.
No, you got another 10 years your contract has.
Where's my contract?
It's in the bylaws.
I didn't see it anywhere in the bylaws.
I wrote it in there by pen.
Yeah. So. How can a Minnesota daughter help a Ohio father? Write letters, make phone calls, let them know that this reform is not reform. Be his voice for him and speaking to. And we have been telling everybody in the prisons that we know that we have contact with to write the governor. That's something that we haven't really promoted up until now, but once this reform came out, we started telling,
And let's get, and we have an update on our sponsor somewhat. The bill has been sent to the bill room. Then they will email us a copy to either approve or not approve. And then we'll email it back to them. So I'm hoping any day we get that.
Yeah.
And I hope that the sponsor don't change his mind because of the governor's so-called reform policies. We still got the news backing us because they want our voices to be heard. ABC's about the only fair news. You can't get the other stations. You can't get Columbus Dispatch to get involved. It's like they run scared going against the state.
Yeah, ABC 6 News. We've been working with them since
2
February.
Months now.
Yeah. February, I think, was the first time.
February 21st.
They came in. That
yeah.
was our first legislative day.
Yeah.
So we've been working with them. They're putting together the story. I speak with the investigative reporter almost every day that for the last 2 weeks. She's putting together the story. They're editing it right now. I think they have one more phone call, she said, from an inmate that they want to interview. All the rest of them have already been interviewed. And the story is supposed to air May 16th. It's not, I don't know if that's written in stone, but that's what they're
And they're going to
shooting
advertise.
for.
They're going to advertise it for 3 days.
3 days prior. And then I believe they're going to do a follow-up story.
Sorry, that was my phone.
And then they're going to do a follow-up story after that. So we're excited to see that.
Right. I could have put down my phone number and said I was single. So a big sign. So
Can we talk about this?
no, because the last time I asked a woman out, I said, "Here, let's go out. I'll take you to McDonald's." She laughed at me and said, "Okay,
I thought
I'll
it was the Wendy's for
well,
4 for $4.
Well, it was after that.
Somebody needs to talk to you.
But yeah, somebody thinks that they can just call me anytime. That was a 1-800 number. So either it's HP. Do not buy an HP laptop. I've been having problems with it since day one. But
they were blocked from leaving a voicemail.
Yeah.
I will tell Dad to get his inmate group to write. He is the Toledo liaison and connections and other. Hold on, I gotta tap your comment because we can't read it all. I will tell Dad to get his inmate group to write. He is the Toledo liaison and connections in other prisons.
Yeah, have him share our group's name that we're fighting for them.
Because we need family and friends to absolutely get involved. We need, strength in numbers. Strength in numbers.
Right.
We need people to show up. And
this is no time to rest. The resting will take place after we get this passed. And then, of course, there'll be something else we have to work on, like maybe getting the inmates up early that already seen the pro board. But there'll always be something else to work on besides helping folks with medical problems, harassment, sexual abuse inside of prison. Those are just some of the issues we've been working on.
We really would like to work on reentry, but this has taken up a lot of our time. But I would say probably within the next few years, we'll have our transitional housing going, hopefully.
Right, for men and women, just in different locations.
Yeah, so, I mean, we still work with reentry, but like heavy into reentry. We just got to get them out first.
Right.
And that's our main focus.
And this has taken up almost all of our time. And we do get calls on people coming out that's homeless, that need housing. And sometimes we can help them, sometimes we can't, depending on their crime or what their restrictions are.
She said he already published your bill proposal.
Awesome.
I think she probably means handed it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to get a newsletter into the prisons next. We won't be sending it to everybody, but
they can make copies.
They can make copies. Yeah. Just one more thing on my list.
Right, and we know that they make a lot of copies because our questionnaire, you're talking about hundreds of copies that was made throughout the system. We got to be close to 400 now.
And I just want to remind everyone, and I'm going to say this again, if you send in the if you send it in for your loved one, we do not use your questionnaire. And we can absolutely tell the difference whether it comes from a prison or whether it doesn't. The prison envelopes,
there's two ways you can find out.
Well, I won't put. They're not going to have a regular stamp. It's going to be either an embossed stamp like this and say inmate male, or it's going to have the actual embossed bird stamp on it, and it tells us exactly where the zip code is that it's coming from.
Right. So good try.
If you send in these, we get rid of them because we don't know who wrote it and if we have their permission to use it. And these questionnaires have been scanned in and sent to the news. The news has read all of the questionnaires. We are using them on our social media. And we have, well, they've all been scanned in and are being sent to legislators as well. So if it's not coming from a prison and it's coming from a friend, family member, wife, fiance, girlfriend, whatever, we just get rid of it because that's not showing us. We don't know who
we don't know if we have
wrote it.
permission though.
Yeah, and we don't know if we have permission. So just to make that clear again, but this is all the ones that we've gotten and the stuff that we haven't opened yet.
I did some of the opening today. I had a Band-Aid on my finger the other day though. Paper cuts really hurt.
It's better than the envelope we got that was sealed with the Dwayne was like, stop it.
We had an envelope that was sealed with used medical tape, and I'm very germophobic, so I quickly handed it to Candace.
No, I quickly handed it to you.
And I didn't touch it.
And you threw the envelope. We didn't throw what was in it away, but we threw the envelope. How many have actually come to you that you have not been able to use? Probably more than you would realize.
Well, maybe 12, 13.
I don't know because we throw them out.
Yeah, but there was a decent number, especially after we've been promoting that it had to come from the inmate, and it was still coming from the family members. We just can't use them.
Yeah, we can't use them. And we do have on the letter that we send out, as well as the top of the questionnaire, that if they want to remain anonymous, just don't put your name and number on there, and we won't. I mean, they won't see it. They'll still see your experience, but they're not gonna see your name and number.
And the news media went through a majority of the questionnaires before we got a bunch more in, and picked who they wanted to interview.
Yeah. And it's not that we're trying to be rude or mean about it, but we just want to make sure that we have everybody's permission. And as long as we know that it's coming straight from the prison, then we're taking that as they're giving us a go ahead.
So, but is any more questions? Hi, Diane. Diane's using my word, my three-letter word. Yeah, that's easy for me just to say wow. I can't misspell that word.
Well, I wouldn't put money on that.
Yeah, especially voice text. You wouldn't believe what the wow turns into sometimes.
Oh, what was it? We were on the way back from Richland last year, and I think you voice text Paul and told him to put coffee on or something. I don't remember, but you ended up calling him the B word.
Yeah. And, anybody knows anything about that word in prison, that's a word to fight over.
Leanne said he actually distributed every article I sent that are posted in the FTRR Facebook. Well, thank you. That's how it gets out, and the other inmates get to know what's going on. A lot of people wrote us letters and said that they had seen the questionnaire, they wanted to get involved, so they just hand wrote it and didn't actually send back our questionnaire. They just numbered it and sent it in. that way because they really wanted to get involved. So we are making sure that their voice gets heard.
Hey, Diane, see if you and your sister could join us at our protest on May 17th, 11 a.m., corner of South High and State Street.
What is the best way for Dad to contact you? He can get on our JPay or write a letter. The JPay is Fair Treatment Reform at gmail.com. And one of our board members runs our JPay. She'll get back to him. Hold on. I feel like I missed some stuff here. Hold on. I can't hardly see because of the sun. My name is Charles Wilcox. I live in Troy, New York. If you're interested in reading it, this is a story about me in a nightmare for something I didn't. Charles Wilcox, Criminal Justice Reform Journal.com or hashtag.
Oh, can you email us it at fairtreatmentreform@gmail.com?
Rebecca said, hi, guys. Did you read what she said? I say it a lot because I'm mostly flabbergasted. Wow, Fitz.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Diane was one of our best lead people at the State House. She knows her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So is her
sister
too.
Came too, yeah.
Right.
Her sister came to both, actually.
Yeah. Diane had to work, or they had she had something to do the second one.
So we are just waiting for the sponsor to get back with us on the bill. It's in the bill room right now. We're waiting on our story to be shown on ABC6 News, hoping that it's going to be May 16th is what they're shooting for, but we're not. I don't know if that's written in
and
stone
they're planning
yet,
on promoting our protest too, doing a shout out to our protest.
Yeah, so we need everybody to our JPay. Our address is on our website, Leanne. If you go on there, yeah. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
Medication helps that problem.
I think it's just old age.
That's my excuse.
Yeah, and you're way older than me.
Couple years.
How many years older than are you?
I'm getting close to 60 in a few years.
I'm getting close to. Well,
4 years I'll be 60. I know I don't look like it.
I'll be 50 in 2 years, so.
But I'm still not the oldest on our board. And technically, I don't.
Terry, are you hearing this?
I didn't say her name.
Oh.
But not, and technically I don't sit on the board. The president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
So you're admitting that you just do nothing?
No, I just sit back, relax, let the good board take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
And I get their coffee for them.
You lies. Actually, James does a lot.
I think most of us do. It's in the last, I'd say 4 months or so, it's really been a team effort, and we have really branched out and grown from each corner of the state, and including other states as well. But remember, if you are in a different state, you could take some of our ideas and put it together in your local state as well, because you're going to be facing the same problems: unfair treatment of inmates. If you have a pro board, I'm sure it's unfair practices that they have as well.
I'm in big trouble from Terry.
But she's not on there.
She just said you are awful.
Oh, Terry's on there?
Yeah,
I don't see her name.
She just said it right there.
I know Terry, isn't she?
My deepest apologies.
I look the youngest though on our board. Kinda.
Gina's our youngest.
Oh yeah. What is she, 20?
Then Bobby. Oh, James, not Candace. Mm-hmm.
What?
You're in charge. She's not talking to you for 2 days.
No, it's usually till morning time.
Jimmy D. Cronenberger, CEO and founder.
Who said that?
But don't think that he runs anything.
He's
got his whole board as women.
Who said that?
Leanne.
Thank you, Leanne.
So he doesn't run anything.
That's kind of true.
How does it feel to have a whole board of women?
I really think that I need to start a group for men's rights because I really don't have, a man on the board with a bunch of women is kind of not good sometimes because
be careful what you're saying.
Men never win when you have.
I do have a letter opener.
Yeah, I know. That's not pure gold either.
So James, I think, stays pretty much scared for the most part. He conveniently backs out when there's a disagreement.
I learned a long time ago, never argue. You can't win.
He just keeps. Do you feel sorry for my husband?
Oh yeah, poor guy. Her husband and me starting a male union.
Really?
I'm going to be teaching a class for the men coming out on how to be husbands and how to show authority. I have this little bell with a smiley face on it. I'm giving to Candace's husband, and he is to ring it.
Yeah, I wish he would. I wish he would. And guess where he's going to be?
He's got to learn.
Right here in this house with you.
I'm going to be teaching my class.
Crying.
Here. John's getting one too, Terry.
I hope I wish they would. You better make room.
For me. And your husband probably eats a lot.
Mm-hmm. Terry said, guess where that bell will end up?
In John's hands. Ding, ding, ding. Coffee place. Oh, I don't even think John.
Is that going to be part of your reentry program?
Yeah, I mean,
class.
I tell you, you would not believe how scary it is for when people come out of prison, and if they don't have a support group, if they don't have a family, it's like they're all left alone. When you spend 20, 30, 40 years locked up, then you come out and you see these fast cars driving down the street, you don't even want to cross the street.
Hey, Gina, do you hear this crap that your boss over here?
Gina's boyfriend's going to get a bell too because he's going to be in my class on the men's rights.
Well, I hope that you have enough room in this house here of yours for all these men.
I mean, they need to learn about relationships. Who's better than I've been divorced twice. So I have more experience on relationships.
He does. He just keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
That, Terry?
So how long did your first marriage last?
11 months.
And she left you when you was in prison?
No, she left me before I went to prison.
Oh, how long did your second marriage last?
11 years.
11 years?
My second one.
But she left you when you were in prison, right?
Yeah, when I was at Ross, 5 years after I got locked up. That's the worst thing when you're locked up and you get divorce papers in there because you can't even call her and argue your case.
Is she like me and doesn't answer the phone for 3 days? Gina said that her man's going to be on parole when he comes home.
Oh, hell no. Poor men. I mean, they're all going to be ending up bald. They're just going to lose their hair from all the stress. So I got to teach them the way. Poor men. Poor wives.
Poor wives. Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
These when I'm telling you, we are some of the strongest people in the world. The stuff that we have to deal with and endure on a daily basis.
You guys almost like the victims. All the rights go to you guys.
Whatever. For what? From our men?
Yeah, I mean, men have to obey their women.
Listen, my husband never a snitch till he got a wife. And now something happens. He's like, I'm about to go get on the phone with my wife. Babe, listen.
And then she calls up there and complains that he doesn't get his medical. So what do? They go and get him while she's on the phone with him. Well,
or I'm emailing.
Emailing is actually the best way. I myself, I like to call, but if you email, you had that set in stone somewhat on what they respond back to you.
And he does. He'll be like, I'm about to go tell my wife right now. Oh, you didn't get your meds? Or whatever. Because where he's at, they, and he didn't know this, but you have to stick a piece of paper out your door in order to be let out of your cell, even if it's your rec time or med call or whatever it is. They make you stick a piece of paper out. And he didn't know that. So if people say if they fall asleep or whatever it is and they don't stick that paper out, they don't get their medicine.
Yeah, the closed facilities are run so much different than the minimum and mediums. They're really restricted on movement.
Yeah, Leanne said Jimmy better not get his class. Ladies got veto power in the company.
Your father's going through my class too. I'm sending him a letter.
You better start building on to this house. You would think he'd learn women rule, men drool, and wish they could be as cool.
That had to be Gina.
No, that was Rebecca Spencer.
Oh, I don't know her, do I?
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
You never know anybody.
Oh, I just pretend I don't know anybody.
That might be. Actually, I think it's more like it's dementia setting in.
Well, I hope not.
I don't know how many times I had to say when I would tell you Gina's name and you would be like, who is that? I'm like, it's our vice president.
Well,
I
I
don't
know
know.
our secretary's name.
No, you don't. You don't ever know her name either.
I don't know her last name.
I don't know how long it took you to know our secretary's name. And you didn't know Gina's name either because every time I would say it, you'd be like, who is that? I don't know, our vice president.
See, I'm not the only one with dementia then.
I'm talking about you.
Oh, whoops. Okay, I didn't catch on. That's dementia, I guess.
I give up.
Well, she can't really give up because there's a lot of work to do.
What's going to end up happening is we're going to kick you out of your own organization. We're going to take your social media, your phone, your computer.
Oh, sometimes I wish you would. I mean, there's nobody that loves a good debate than I do on Facebook. But when people turn it into disrespect, like someone did the other day, that's really uncalled for. It's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to disrespect.
That's very true. And we woke up to some serious messiness. Lord help us all.
I was called. Oh wow, some of the names I never even heard. Yeah, I was called trifling, nasty, ass hole. A prick. I was also called in the one text. This is between two people texting me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of comical though because what they said I said something against another advocate, which anybody that knows me knows I would not post anything negative. But that's fine. All's good now.
Gina's over on my screen now. She said, bye, James.
Gina, there's two of them.
Our vice president.
Oh, yeah. But there's two Ginas.
Terry said, if the shoe fits. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. She's really not kidding.
Yeah. But there's two Ginas, isn't there?
There's not two Ginas. Who?
Oh, a cutie one.
Janine?
Oh, that's her. Okay. I knew it started with the same letter.
Gina, our vice president, Gina, said, you're doing right when they're talking smack.
Yeah. But, talking about Gina, she's one of the hardest working vice presidents we have out of Cleveland. And, of course, she comes all the way to Columbus, to a lot of our
Forget
events.
About me.
And, of course, Candace is very hard working, but I've said that before. But, of course, I was talking about the vice presidents. But, and of course, Candace and Terry sometimes would do the driving to Cleveland. And, I mean, that's a lot of driving, even for Gina coming up here, us going down there, and then other places we have to be throughout the state. It's very time consuming and expensive when you talk about gas, parking, but it's got to be done.
Well, I always have.
There we get it.
They sent us an envelope. Send us an envelope back. Oh, that's because it's not a question.
Another way the state is actually making money, they won't allow family members anymore to send embossed envelopes in Ohio. And that's just because the state gets a kickback from all the commissary that the inmates buy. It's supposed to go in the INE fund, but the state gets a big kick out.
Oh, you had to enter. This guy said he recently read our proposal for parole reform and was deeply impressed by it. I like what your organization is doing, and I would like to be involved. I was wondering how my family and I could support and get involved with your organization. Do you have membership fees and a newsletter as other inmate groups do? Enclosed is an envelope donation for your cause. In closing, I just want to mention how much we appreciate all the good things you do on behalf of prisoners. That was nice.
It's always nice to get a positive letter. That doesn't happen very often, but lately we've been getting a few positive letters from inmates that really appreciate everything we all are doing. It's not just one person, it's a team effort.
Gina doesn't talk the talk, she walks the walk, and she sure does.
I try to walk the walk, but I usually trip.
It's worth the time and drive and the fight. You must be involved. If you're not helping, hold on. Be a part of the solution. That's what I say.
I don't have to say it because I have the rest of them saying it, and I agree with them.
So we need everyone to show up May 17th at, oh wow, they really just tape this whole thing.
We're going to get ready to close this out for tonight because Candace has a lot of work to do.
And James' batteries.
My battery already went dead, so so if you're on my phone, sorry.
Yeah, his feed died because his phone is dying.
Yeah. Well, some of these inmates really put a lot of thought into their questionnaire and their responses.
They really do.
They'll put 2 or 3 sheets, either typed or handwritten, to us, expanding a little, expressing their concerns a little bit more.
They type out their response in a professional letter form. It's nice to see that stuff.
Well, should we close for the night and be back next Sunday night?
Next Sunday night we will not be here because it is Mother's Day.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, that means I gotta get a Mother's Day card. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, and your mother is the sweetest lady ever.
I just forgot about Mother's Day.
She is the sweetest lady ever. I don't know.
It's really bad when a 90-year-old can walk better than I can.
She's the kind that you go there and she feeds you everything.
Sometimes a little bit too healthy, though. Her cooking is healthy compared to what I
We
eat.
had soup and cheese and crackers.
It won't be the cheese with the holes in it. I would not eat that.
Because you don't get a discount.
No, I mean that's a ripoff for one. How are you going to buy cheese with holes in it and pay full price?
That's what I got.
You should have seen me argue with the lady up at Kroger's over a couple years ago, and they were laughing at me like there was something wrong.
And you were dead serious too, weren't you?
Kinda. But then I also complained about the donuts because I wanted the whole donut and I wanted the holes that go into it. I got into them with Buckeye Donut over that. If I'm paying for a donut, I want the whole donut.
All right. So does anybody have any more questions for us or anything?
As she is reading some of the questionnaires.
This isn't a questionnaire, it's a letter.
But, well, folks, we will see you not next Sunday because it's Mother's Day. You know, a lot of mothers would get mad at us if we had one next Sunday.
Yeah, that's my day off.
There's never a day off.
I don't get a day off. I really don't.
I don't think any of us really had days off. One of these days we'll be able to relax, but not until we get what we need, what we want, and what is fair. And it's coming.
Yeah, we just got thrown for a little bit of a loop, but that's okay. We're still pushing forward, and we're still fighting. So we will see you in 2 weeks, back here in 2 weeks. And until then, thank you everyone for your support. If you have any questions, shoot us a